What's up, Rockstars? How's it going? I'm finally in a familiar setting again. We're finally doing a video that I'm used to doing, some Kickstarter news updates for you. I got a ton of games that are on Kickstarter right now that I have not covered yet. Several that I have that have some very interesting things. There's a few that are even struggling, some that are underperforming. We'll take a look at those. There's some stuff coming out in May, especially early May. I'll be talking about some of those, and then some really good talking points about the industry at large. So stay tuned for all that, but first let's go ahead and roll the logo. Alright guys, we're back ready to talk about Kickstarter. I'm so happy to be here in a familiar setting to talk to you guys. It seems like it's been forever. I know I was out for a week on vacation. Thank you so much for sticking with me while I took a much needed break, but I definitely hit the ground running when it comes to my regular work life, which took over very quickly of all the stuff that piled up and needed to be done and is still needing to be done. And so pulling long hours there, but also I've been doing like a video a day for you guys just about. I mean, that is huge for me, but I had a ton of stuff shipped to me while I was out. So I came home to a whole bunch of boxes that needed to be unboxed. And so I was doing that and playing the games and doing reviews. Judgement, Eternal Champions, that review will be out very soon. I need to get a few more game sessions in, but so far I'm liking it, as FYI. Let's see what else happened. Alex from Board Game Co. mentioned me in a video and said some very kind words to me, or I guess about me, and whatever it is I do here on this channel. So thank you so much, Alex, to that, and just to all you guys in general. And a special shout out to my patrons and YouTube members. Of course, I always have to start out. I don't wait for that crap at the end of the video. That's up front because you guys make this channel possible. As you all know, I'm financially independent from the game studios. They do not give me a dime so that I can freely say whatever it is I want to say and how I feel. So you don't hear my thoughts. You hear my thoughts, not my wallet's thoughts, because my wallet would just lie to you based off of how much it was paid, I guess. So I don't know. So I don't even bother with it. So if you appreciate that level of honesty and critique in the industry, and you can, there's a link down below to that in the description. Otherwise, thanks so much for being here. Just a simple like or a comment, especially if you're new, say hi. Helps the AI a lot. I appreciate it. I'm here for the community, doing these videos for you, not for them. So as long as I know that this video is helpful, I know I did a good job. All right, let's go ahead and just dive right in now. Hellboy has more stuff. I kind of told you guys about this right before it launched. Now here it is, and it's got a whole bunch of other stuff. This is kind of an interesting one because I haven't really heard of other people playing the game lately, but I've seen a lot of people actually painting the minis. So there's that, I suppose. I liked the live action movies. That's about all I know from the art style. Looks really cool. There's a lot of like special stuff. This chick on fire is pretty sweet. That guy's pretty cool too. This this looks like the guy from I don't know, that weird monster love story thing from Gilmore. I don't know, it was weird. Anyway, the something water, I can't even remember. Anyway, yeah, no. So they're coming out with their stretch goals are kind of weird because it's like, where the heck? What am I looking at here? It has like dice stretch goals, and then also let me just refresh the whole thing. How about that? We'll figure out. Hey, looky here. Here's some stuff. They're doing dice stretch goals because there's a dice game, and then other regular stretch goals too. They're kind of intermixing it, which is kind of weird. I love these cards with the like almost full art, by the way. Like I really dig the art style, and I think they should really play into that. So really glad to see that they're doing that. You know, I was just looking at this. Here we are. So it has board game, dice game, right? So they're kind of unlocking it that way, but they're doing great. Mantic's definitely knows what's working. They almost have 3,000 backers, so congrats to them for that. Again, it looks like a lot of people are liking. Let's see if there are returning backers. It's always a great thing to look at is if a game came out previously, how many people are back for more, right? That gives you a good sense of how good the game is or how much that is needed. And a little bit about the communication, but for the most part, if people have a game already and now they're back for more, then obviously there was something good about it. Something. Right? Doesn't necessarily mean the game, but it's a general thing. And if you see that there's not really a lot of people that are returned, then you kind of have to wonder, like, okay, well, why are they just happy with what they have? Do I need this extra stuff? Sometimes stuff's just not needed, and it's available, but that doesn't mean you gotta buy it. So let's see here. What is the new one? This contains all the new Hellboy expansions and the dice game, plus any applicable stretch goals. We've got 2,600. Are they not selling the original? Well, shoot, what is this all about? Maybe it's in the Pledge Manager? I don't know. Interesting. Well, that answers my question. Yeah, there's plenty of people back for more. Good to know. All right, next up we have Riot Quest Chili Con Carnage. This is from Privateer Press. They do these kind of Riot Quest games, and this is their second Kickstarter to do it. They're really expensive, really fancy minis, and a very unique kind of world and art style and all that. It is not something I would dive into myself personally, but that's just my preference. But if some of these call out to you, then definitely take a look at it. I mean, they got some, it's kind of a, I guess the best way I could describe it is kind of like World of Warcraft. Is I think how most people would be able to know this kind of style, where it's kind of like cartoony but serious, but you know, I mean, yeah, it looks like freaking like Princess Daisy with Gatling guns. Like I don't even know what's going on there, but sure, why not? She handhelds them. I guess they're really light. And then it comes like weird construction equipment gizmos. Like it's weird, right? It's a very weird setting. It's a skirmish style game. You can have like these weird imp guys with cannons and a knight jetpack guy. But I don't know, like the style to me gets a little busy. Like I struggle to find even the head on this mini. I think it's right there. I think I see the grill there. I can see it better in the art, but on the mini it just looks like a mess up here. And part of it's maybe how they painted it. This guy coming out of the book's pretty cool. I dig that. I don't know. I mean, some of them are iffy. It's not my style. I'll give it. I like their font, so I dig that. But otherwise, I don't know. It looks. This guy's probably the coolest thing, I think. But yeah, so it's like here's $100, and you get this mini, those 3 minis, and some cards, and that's it. Now they're fancy minis. Privateer Press makes some great minis. They look really, really nice. They paint up great. And I have no idea what the gameplay value of those 2 minis are, but a little rich for my blood, at least. Maybe I'm just poor. I don't know. All right, let's talk about Judgement Eternal Champions. Speaking of a fairly, I guess, pricey game. This is definitely a premium game. I have already played 1 game of this to its completion. I lost, and it was very good. I enjoyed it a lot. It's very... So it's a skirmish style game, kind of like, well, I guess a lot of our skirmish style games. One of the big differences I noticed is that, first of all, it has a little bit of a Dota feel where you're buying equipment during it, leveling up during it, fighting monsters during it. But it's also kind of like Magic the Gathering, where you have these effigies that are attacked. It's not like you, and that's what you're trying to protect. It's kind of like having a planeswalker on the field or something like that. But the maneuver mechanics that they have, where you can push yourself or push other people, are really the big things. So like one of the things they do is you can totally like, you know, push somebody into a worse spot and then have the other person follow up and do something, or, you know, whatever it might be. They definitely have some really cool maneuvers. I'll talk more about that in the review. Again, there will be a review coming out right now. I only have the unboxing. The minis are fantastic. Amazing minis. I only have the 3D print resins, and they are already like, oh my gosh, great. Like, they are really good. They've unlocked a ton of stuff, by the way. So there's already 5 more minis here now that we can pick from. The more options in a skirmish game, the better, as always. But a lot of it is kind of a slight deck building, in that like you're leveling up your person, but then you're also buying equipment for them, and that kind of changes them a little bit too. So you can, and the equipment is like a wide range of thing, from like, here's +1 melee, so they hit stronger, to they get to recall cheaper than everybody else, or, you know, something like that. That's kind of interesting. A recall is kind of like a troop recall in Mythic Battles, where you can put them back to your effigy. It's good to be able to return stuff to them that way. You can see like Gloom is a monster. These 3D tokens I want to see in every game ever. These are amazing 3D tokens. If I was to, this is one of the easiest add-ons, yes please, I have ever seen. For me personally, I get a kick out of them. They are awesome 3D tokens, like amazing 3D tokens. I love them. They have a whole bunch of stuff. They have an app already. This is a 2.0 to a 1.0 game. There is a big difference in the gameplay. Like the first one didn't have hex spaces and all that kind of stuff. So big changes there. So has the miniatures and whatnot as well. But it's definitely already on an established system that people love. I've heard nothing but good things about the 1.0, and the 2.0 I've already had fun with. So yeah, it looks cool. There's definitely some cool stuff there. For sure. So if you haven't checked out the unboxing, I'll go ahead and link it down below. But it's on this page too. There are links to all of these Kickstarters down below, by the way. I said I'll tell you more about it later. But oh my gosh, like, I know this is just art, but I want this. Like, these guys look awesome. I mean, there's some really, really cool minis here. Even if you just wanted to paint them, I mean, yeah, there's cool stuff. That's really all there is. What is this? I don't know if I saw this before. That is freaking sweet. Oh, this is like their tokens. Okay, see, I'm telling you, the tokens are sweet. Look at these souls. If you want to practice painting sheer stuff, there you go. You're welcome. Oh, man. This is such cool. What is... Oh, man. They got pictures of these now? These are going to be cool. I dig it. The terrain looks awesome. All of it looks so cool. All right. Anyway, I'm nerding out. There's my unboxing right there. I'll have a review up here soon. I will try on Sunday, by the way. That'll probably be my next video for you guys. Next up, let's go Cyber Odyssey. I just reviewed this. It is struggling to fund here, but it's going. And in fact, I think even if they just sat where it is now, they would. But I'm going to critique it and let you guys know what I would have done to be different. First of all, they released it with all French pledges, which definitely hurt it. Like no doubt in my mind. And one of the reasons to say that is because there was like almost 900 people that were signed up to be notified of this, and there's only 335 backers as of like a day later. So obviously people got it, saw it, and then saw a whole bunch of French, and they're anything like me, they see a whole bunch of French crap, they're like, yeah, nope, apparently this is not for me. Even though it is, and it's obvious it is, it's one of those things where it's like, I don't even know if I want to click this button. Like, what is this even saying to me? You can kind of guess, right? But still, that's a big oof. And once people back it, you can't change it. And so it's like this whole song and dance. They added the English versions of it, which is cool, but you know, it is whatever. I had fun with this game. This was actually, I liked it more than Great Wall. It's a worker placement game, but there's player agency in every single thing you do, because you get to make decisions on, okay, do I use these XP tokens, or do I, tap this software, or do I use this support character now, or do I wait for combat? So there's like always these engagements you have. It's not just a skill check thing. And then on top of that, obviously the theme is cool and the art's cool and the minis are amazing. I'll talk about the minis in a second here, but you're always playing against another player too, and like the AI, like the hacking and the combat, it's always actually you versus someone making a decision, which is that level of player interaction. The whole reason I play board games is so I can sit down at a table with my friends and family and have fun doing something like that. We always get some food. We always have a good time with it. And I think that's super important. It's why I'm not playing a single player video game. I love doing that. But if I'm playing on board games, because I want to interact with people, I want to talk with people, I want to be with the people I care about in this world and in this life, and put the phone away, and put the TV away, and put the apps away, and put all that crap away, and just have a board game session with them. And it's a lot of fun. And so anytime it's like super solo, or like it's like, well, we're all playing the same game, but we're all playing differently, like that's not my jam. So I really liked the agency and the decision making, and also the interactions between me and the other players. That was awesome. Here's my unboxing. Here's my review. You can check those out as well. Of course, I go into do like 40-minute plus reviews. So if you really want some information, I'll give them to you. The minis, by the way, are awesome. They are what I want out of Cyberpunk. Like, this is the cool stuff right here. Especially this, like, gang member here with, like, the spray paint, the neon green samurai sword, and a gun on his back, and a full like, Daft Punk mask. And, I mean, yes, all of that, please. And, like, a rain jacket, because, of course, you have a raincoat. And people are walking around with guitars on them all the time, because, of course, they are. Like, the art is amazing. I really, really dug the style of this. Here's like this business lady with this freaking drone robot with a giant Gatling gun, because that's what businesses do nowadays. And then like, just like camo sniper people, and this is another gang member chick that has like pink hair and like all cybernetic arms and crap like that. This guy's probably my favorite here. Here's like Vixen or Red, and really, really cool minis. I loved it. Love the feel of this game. It was actually a lot of fun. And, again, really, really cool. And a good price too. It's like, shoot, for the base game, it's what, like $97-ish for the core box with stretch goals, which again is great. They have talked about adding a solo mode, but they said they'd talk about it later. And again, I think that's a mistake, just like it was a mistake to not have the stretch goals right up front. Even if it doesn't matter if you get them or not. The point is that you show that you have plans on making this even better. The value has to be upfront day one in a Kickstarter. You can't say we'll have value eventually. So if you are a solo player and you're designing a solo portion to the game, say you're working on it. Like, you don't even have to necessarily say it'll be there, but like, be upfront with the value you're adding to it. Say, hey, if we meet our stretch goals, you'll have this much stuff, but we'll see where we get in the campaign. That's fine. But at least then like, hey, there's more stuff coming. Really important to have the value up front. So I don't know how many people have said, oh, I wish it had a solo mode. And then I see them comment saying, hey, work on a solo mode. It's like, well, that doesn't need to be comment. That needs to be on the page. Have your value up front. Any value you can scrape up for your game, put it on there, because that's what you want. Anyway, that's my feedback. Speaking of Cyberpunk, here's Cyberpunk Red. This is the actual Cyberpunk RPG style thing that the Cyberpunk video game was based off of and all this. Incidentally, it has 138,000, and I think it has far worse minis. These are the two best minis by far. By far, the two best. The minis look like they're straight from, like, 1998. Like, they all have really fat heads and really chunky bodies and really giant feet and hands. They look like they're designed out of, like, pewter minis, like, from, like, old style, like, Fantasy Games Workshop crap. Look how thick his blade is. Everything looks like it's made out of, like, bananas and just, what's up with the gun? Like, it looks like midgets with weapons. Like, I don't like that. Look how big his hands are. His hands are bigger than his head. The proportions are all weird. The design is weird. I do not like these at all. I don't. These are not good minis as far as I'm concerned. I do not like the style. It does not scream Cyberpunk to me. I don't dig it. It looks cartoonish. It looks jokey. Look how big his head is. Look how big his feet are. Like, it looks like a whole bunch of clowns. I love the terrain. I think that's great. I think it looks awesome on the table probably. It looks like it plays, I don't know, it reminds me of Fallout Wasteland Warfare, which was actually a really good game as well, with the measuring sticks and all that, or maybe X-Wing if you're more familiar with that. And they have weapon crates and all that kind of stuff, which is cool. But, okay, so here, exactly, they're doing these daily unlocks, they're unlocking more content, and they're saying, hey, you're going to include 21 free miniatures. We don't have it yet, but you'll get it, right? Or you might get it, or whatever. Make it look like there's a ton of value up front. That is the key. Between that and an IP, which essentially gets you funded, it seems these days, they are definitely doing fairly well for themselves. But oh my gosh, these minis are, I like the terrain. I actually like everything about all of that. The minis though, for the people, yeah, clowns are right. It's not my thing, I guess, I don't know. Like, look, so this is almost comparable to Cyberpunks. Let's go ahead and take a look at that. I'll show you the two kind of antenna, which they do a better job showing off their minis too. So let's see here. Okay, so this guy right here, right? Freaking sweet mini. I really like it. I think it's really, really cool. It's kind of comparable to this guy here, but this guy here looks kind of goofy. Though it does like he maybe have a power glove. I don't know. But then this guy looks, is that a kid? Maybe these are kids. I can't tell. I don't know. I don't like them. Hopefully the game's good, but I do not like those minis at all. But it's doing well. So there's that, because it has value, or at least it looks like it has value, and it has something people know, which is the IP. Next up, Grim Hollow, the Monster Grimoire. Installment of 400 monsters for a 5e D&D campaign. 400 monsters. A ton of stuff here. And minis. The art looks great. The detail on them looks good. I would love just to read. I love reading RPG books in general. I don't even play tabletop RPGs. I don't play D&D. I like structure. I don't really like how open-ended a lot of that is. And I don't like that when it's a user-created story that a user could ruin it. If there's a party member that somebody's running that's just annoying, that's a bummer, right? Whereas if it's a board game, then it's that story and that's what we play, and there's no chance of people being really annoying, and at least a far less chance, right? Stuff like that. Anyway, look at these minis here. Again, they look awesome. I will show you. I'm just going to go all the way down to the bottom. You can see all the different cards. There's a ton of stuff here. So minis. You got bugbears and human cultists and zombies and ghouls. And then we have fire devils and zombie trolls and Capra thorns. And then this crap. Oh my gosh. This is probably the coolest mini here, I think. This guy, I think it looks awesome. I dig. He's like picking up like wildlife, or I don't even know what's going on there. He's got chains everywhere. I dig it. One of my friends was doing a D&D thing. He needed an undead tree. I thought this looked pretty darn cool for it. So anyway, link down below to this too. I don't know anything about the tabletop stuff. I'm not going to try and talk out my butt about it either. I'm sure it looks cool though. Sure it is, but minis look cool too. The Shadow Planet, the board game, it is almost funded. 6 days left. I think it's going to reach it. It needs like less than 3,000 more. Again, it looks kind of like, the busts are cool, by the way. It looks kind of like a Space 1999 Nemesis, or maybe even like, maybe more retro than that. Maybe it's like a Forbidden Planet Nemesis style. Maybe it's like an, I don't know, it just looks super cool. I dig it. I like the art style. It's based off of like some comic book, I guess. I think it looks like it has a lot of character. I don't necessarily know how it plays, but it looks neat. I like it. I like that they're doing something different with it for sure. Next up, we have the Legends of the Void. This looks like a kind of a neat card game. It's still trying to fund here. It's at 20,000 out of 35,000. I really liked the art of this, and I think it just looks really, really pretty. I didn't look too much into the actual gameplay just because I think a lot of card games are, they always have like more unique gameplay. Like, okay, these are immediate effects and this is that. Whereas a lot of, like, if you play a skirmish game, you can kind of get a sense of people doing this and doing that. And okay, there's a lot of push mechanics or something like that. Card games are a little bit more, they have a lot more variety in how you play them, but I love the art style. I think it looks really, really sweet. And then it has like this round board here that, again, just looks really, really pretty. So, and I saw that they weren't funded yet, so I figured I'd show you guys. Again, there'll be a link down below to this. It looks like what? Manipulation, outposts, edge area, and then some updates on different stuff. I think it looks pretty cool. So, if you're interested, again, there's a link down below. It definitely has got some table presence. My goodness there. Okay, next up, we have Ismael's collection. This is from Bold Miniatures. They do some amazing, amazing minis. I love the style of them. They're so unique. They're always unique. And that's what I like about them so much. I have actually printed a few of their minis, and again, fantastic stuff. I really, really dig it. What they do, they're all about the artists. And so what they do is they find some really good art, and they're like, hey, we want to make this a miniature. We want to like support your vision and really capture this in a 3D way. So you'll always see this is the art, right? That's originally where it came from. And then they make this mini here. And again, awesome, awesome mini. I love minis that kind of can almost tell a story. You can almost like see a whole movie around this kind of, like, this scene is like the summary of the movie, or the climax of the movie, what it's all about. Or just have a lot of character like this. Like, I love this guy with the basket, but I love all the little animals inside. I think that's great. And of course, huge big old ears. Again, super unique, super cool. And again, it's just, here's some art, and then let's make it a mini. This guy, though, I mean, it reminds me of Men in Black, right? With the little alien inside the guy, but also looks like a little kind of like Frankenstein kind of thing. Everything about this is styled cool, I think, in a really, really great way. And I love that you can even see like the sculpt lines on the bust on the bottom part here. I love that. It's a great little addition to it, I feel. Really, really, really like that. And again, there's the kind of the art that inspired it all. They do some great stuff. Here's some other stuff they've done. Again, look at the personality there. Like, that's amazing. That's really, really, like, look at this. Amazing. This is probably my favorite mini out of all of them. I think this is great. So, yeah, they do some awesome, awesome stuff. If you love minis, if you are a painter, or even if you just want a really cool statue-looking thing, definitely suggest Bold Miniatures. They are super cool. All right, so I have a little bit more to record. This is now the next day. I just got back from work, and I want to tell you about a few things that I forgot to mention before. I had the tabs open, and it didn't, like, click on them. So anyway, they're here now. The first one here is The Witcher Old World. I will be reviewing this. I can't confirm that now. They are sending a copy, and I will let you guys know all about it. I did warn them ahead of time that I mentioned negatives and that all that kind of stuff. So, like, you guys will know exactly how I feel about this. Don't feel like I'm gonna go light on them or anything like that. You guys know how it is. But I really liked Titans when I played Titans from them, and I'm excited to see what The Witcher Old World has in store as well. So if you're looking forward to a review like that, to kind of see if you might like the game or not, a very detailed review, be sure to subscribe, of course. And again, like a bajillion people are following this. I'm excited to look into it. The style looks super cool. The gameplay looks interesting. I like all that. So the art looks nice. It's checking all the boxes. So it's competitive, which means I get to actually play against like real people, which is cool too. I like that. It certainly beats any AI. I guess it depends on the people you play against, but for me, it beats the AI. Excited about that one. So that'll be Go On Board, and that's launching here in May as well. We also have Dungeons and Lasers 3rd edition. I showed this before, but I'm re-recording it because I got confirmation that I can show this page. So let's go ahead and take a look at this page and see what's in store for us. There will be a $1 pledge, and then otherwise there's the 85 euro pledge, and that's the villager pledge, and at least as far as they show right now, that's it. That's 67 miniatures from the start, 12 different terrain themes. That's a ton of stuff. And yeah, it looks awesome. There's their really, superior quality. I don't know, it's superior to what necessarily, but it's very good plastic and very durable, and keeps its shape well too. You don't really see a lot of bent pieces or anything like that on it, which is awesome. Here's the, like, if you had actually like painted the sewer thing, it would look kind of like that, which is super neat as well. And of course, all the different, like, the stretch goals add so much character, because again, you have the room, and the room is cool, but then you can change the room to be anything you want, and that's what I think is really awesome. Here's the sewer core set, so you can actually get a core set of sewers, which means a ton. So if you want a lot of sewers, that is definitely, I think, the thing to get there, which is awesome. The Royal Castle, notice they're doing stuff on top. Now they're doing multi-layer, which I think is awesome. That's super cool. And it's showing like how well that fits on the corners there too, which looks nice. Really, really cool. I love the two level stuff that they're doing here. I think that's really, really cool. Stone Tower, you got the two-door mansion, the wooden cottage, a whole bunch of stuff. The city streets, this will be huge, and any kind of tabletop thing. And notice it's just like the river thing, right? It's just now with, cobblestone streets. This will look great. I think that's just awesome. That's really cool. And of course, I showed you guys the fantasy core set. I did do an unboxing, and check that as well. 176 parts. A lot of there's like 78 clips, right? So you're getting, this is the number you really want to count, but it's a ton. It's plenty. Cursed Cathedral, that looks great as well. Dwarf Mine, I showed you guys that. Also looks good. This almost looks like it's not miniatures, but it is. Like, that looks super awesome. The torture chambers, all the stuff that you guys are used to and know a lot of. It also has this rapid delivery. I imagine they make their own stuff, and they're shipping this off from Poland, and I imagine they might just have a lot of this in stock. Here's the Townsfolk starter set, so you'll be able to get this. You can exchange this set for one room in your pledge. They have a whole bunch of stuff, including clear plastic models. I'll show you a stretch goal of that in a little bit too, but it's showing kind of what all these different monsters and stuff like that are. A whole bunch of people. A lot of them. I love the fact that they got the bowstring. That's always nice to see. It adds a little bit of character. All their demons are not their demons, they're dragons. That's cool too. They're awesome. I've seen them built and all. Look at that. People use the Xenodragon in Nemesis. If you want a very cool alternative to your queen model, that's 6.5 inches tall, Xenodragon is the answer to your desires. Super, super cool. And even the base it fits in so well to Nemesis, by the way. I've seen it done before. It looks awesome on the table with it. So yeah, you can get just like town pledges and stuff like that, which just gives you a whole bunch of stuff here. A lot. Village pledge, town pledge. There you get 2 core sets or 4 rooms, and then any 7 rooms on top of that, plus the stretch goals. Plus you can get the Townsfolk starter set, and you also get a 5e campaign that they're doing too. The city pledge, at this point you have like pounds and pounds and pounds of plastic. It's insane. This is cool. The Woodhaven roof set. They showed a little bit of this off as a tease in the stretch goals. Thank you guys in the comments. I do read your comments, so thanks for letting me know. In the second one. And so if you got the stretch goals from that, you saw some of the like roof tiles you could get. But then you can get different kinds of stairs and all sorts of stuff. Then they're going to have these stretch goals that have also, who knows what. They're just going to keep adding stuff. Post railings, those look super cool. They have, I think, they have a picture of that, I believe, on their Instagram. Then these like themed like clips, looks like, where you can add different things for trims, which look really nice, right? Just make it a little bit fancier or whatever. A lot of stuff. I mean, it just keeps going and going and going, and I'm like amazed. Like, these windows look super cool. What I wanted to show you here is, look at that. They're going to be making a ghost dragon out of that clear plastic. That's going to be freaking sweet. They designed their dragons super well, and I think it would look really, really cool to be in that clear plastic like that. That would look awesome. So excited to see how that is. The only hard part is putting it together, like how the you don't want the glue to be super noticeable, right? And I know like super glue will show up kind of white, and it depends on how see-through it is, I suppose. But yeah, Ghost Dragon in clear plastic, if they hit 1.5 million, they're going to hit it. And so I think that's exciting. They got some cool stuff. And not only that, but notice they're not just unlocking a mini, they're unlocking whole sets. It's like you get a stool, you get some barrels, you get a inn sign, and you get a traveling trader, or you get a blacksmith kind of area and some coat of arms and a weaponsmith dealer sign and an executioner. I mean, like, that's really, really cool that they're doing that. Or a giant, right? So like a huge big money. Their stretch goals like this, insane. Like, that is huge. Uncharted areas. Who even knows what's coming next? It's going to be awesome. So anyway, really glad I was able to show you that. That looks super cool. Next up, Dark Rituals. I mentioned this earlier, but on May the 4th, Star Wars Day, there will be having a reprint of this, plus the original soundtrack. I will not have a review in time for you. So I'm just not going to be able to get it done. With The Witcher coming, with me needing to do Wild Ascent as well, with me needing to do Kingdom Rush, with me needing to do all these other games that I'm still due. I still need to record my Judgement one for you guys, so I can let you guys know about that while it's on Kickstarter. I hope to get to it during the campaign. We'll see. There's a lot of games. But anyway, that's super exciting, that other people get to do it. It's a very good looking game, and from what I've played, which is very little, it seems fairly solid. But I do definitely need to get it to the table a little bit. The rulebook is rough. I can tell you that right now. The rulebook has been the worst part of the game so far. The actual gameplay, I actually quite enjoyed. So, you know, it is what it is. Castlevania Deluxe, I mentioned this earlier as well, but it was moved up to May 11th. So you'll be able to see that as well. So this was on Kickstarter. They took a lot of feedback. They redid a lot of minis, and they will be back, hopefully with a better campaign. With 3,700 people still wanting to follow the second launch of this. I think they have a good chance of doing well. So that'll be kind of cool too. And then of course, Wild Ascent. Again, I showed you this as well. This is coming out sometime in May. And they're waiting for Wild Ascent 1.0 to kind of deliver a little bit. Now, there is a little bit of info about the change in scale. I might talk about that in a future, at a future time. I need to really kind of, I don't know, not search my feelings. I need to actually think this through. An improvement's an improvement. Anybody who's complaining that they got a game a year or 2 years before other people do that might get a better edition, is not looking at what they made possible to even exist and the 2 years that they got to play it without it. So anytime you even get like a prototype or anything like that, like you realize like you're able to play this before anybody else. Everybody else has to wait, right? And so you got first. And then of course there's the early adopters fee, and there's a lot of stuff in my head I need to kind of figure out. It's an unfortunate situation regardless. But I can understand wanting to improve a game, and I can understand wanting to, change manufacturers and, not do resin necessarily. And, especially if you're wanting to do minis like this, cause freaking A, that's cool. And that and resin would be like crazy expensive. So like it's just, you either get tiny minis or you get really cool big minis, and they're not made out of resin typically, if you want any kind of decent price. So, I don't know. It'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see. In the meantime, I'll be playing the game, and I'll let you guys know as soon as I can on that. All right. That's it. That's all I wanted to add. I just want to make sure I got that in there for you guys. Enjoy the rest of the video. Next up, what's coming up? SCP Foundation, the board game Confidential Crisis. Look at that, 1,555. A lot of fives there. It looks very indie. I guess I'll put it that way. This is by Dig Deep. I don't know what Dig Deep has done. This is their first created, so I don't know where these people came from. I'll have to try and find it out and let you guys know. I know the SCP Foundation is loved by a lot of you guys, at least the IP is, so that's cool. And also the IP looks cool, but it does look fairly indie, so go into it knowing this is the first created. Go into it knowing that first created plus IP game equals a lot of growing pains to go through. So just expect a little bit of jankiness, perhaps expect a little bit of oddities. Hopefully they can knock it out of the park, but I don't know, from what I can see here, it definitely has an indie feel to it. And I think sometimes you can just, like, this ain't back in Mythic Games. This ain't back in Come On. This will be a different experience. So I want you guys be aware of that when you go into it. Next up, we have Space Kraken, a science fiction dungeon crawler. I'm showing this just because it's unique and because I have it right here. And what I mean by unique is this is the game. It kind of reminded me of ISS Vanguard, and it's like, everybody's got a binder. It's like, well, this is the whole game here. And so I just wanted to show this off a little bit, because I thought it was kind of cool. No minis or anything fancy like that, but it's like, this is the game. So it has like the setup here, and then it has some like different sheets of, I don't even know what's going on, some events you'll read. We'll skip over that not to spoil anything. Got some different locations, like in a dungeon, a mining station in space, or a core planet, or on the surface. You got all these kind of cool fold-out things. There's some really cool enemies, so you can see the enemy stuff here, like the different stats that they might have. And there's a ton of different ones, and I mean a wide variety of different kinds as well, depending on where you are, what you're doing. And so there's a ton of that. And then there's also like maps. Like this is like the different like maps. Again, I don't know exactly how this works. There's a whole bunch of rules here as well. That's like your space station. There's people here. I wanted to show you also, like right here. You can get different people and different stats. It's like the craziest thing I've ever seen, that this is the game. Like, that's cool. So anyway, that's kind of interesting. Link down below to that if you want to help support that. I think it looks cool. It's in like English and German, I believe. All right, next up we have Ian Lovecraft's Feywood, The Woods Are Wild. This is probably going to be a big campaign. This is on My Mini Factory. This is a 3D print campaign. I've actually backed a few of his before. He does some great campaigns. This will be on May the 4th be with you. So it's on Star Wars Day. And if this didn't kind of get you, if you're going to do a campaign, a D&D thing in this, you might be interested. Here's another one of the things. He does some great terrain. So you get a few of the minis. They look super cool. You can download this one right now if you like. And of course, this one will probably be eventually as well. But definitely check that out if you are into 3D printing, or want to do a service of 3D prints, or know somebody who has a 3D printer or anything like that. Super, super cool. Next up, we have Valeria Card Kingdom's Darksworn. I'm not talking about this game at all. I'm talking about that image. I think it's a great idea to kind of update the very top image with what they're doing, right? A lot of times companies will do this, but it's in an update or something like that. This is right up front. It's saying when they expect to do it. It says when their latest update was, what the steps are that they still need to do, and what they're doing right now. And I think that's awesome. That's a cool way to do it. And I hope to see other Kickstarter campaigns start that up too. Good job, Daily Magic Games, for doing that. That's super cool. Next up, I'm on Facebook because, God forbid, Fireside Games keeps up a Board Game Geek thing, or their own website that has this, or a Kickstarter preview or anything like this. But I got the sponsored ad, so I want to show you. Here's some of the minis that they have here. Even if I click this link, it'll just go away, and they don't have this posted anywhere else. But here's a whole bunch of the art and the minis. Gotta wait for it. I'm sorry. I didn't pick this. they did. Yeah, it looks super cartoony, very much a simplistic kind of style. This almost reminds me of like the Batman animated series board game that we saw in a way, just by like its general detail level and design. Normally you would worry about minis from a company like this. However, with the kind of chunky, cartoonish like this, they're either terrible or they're actually pretty decent for what they are, because there's not like they have to capture a whole bunch of detail anyway. This is the only one that looks kind of weird. Like, I don't know how exactly he's attached there. Maybe at the, I don't know, because his tail's underneath his feet. So this might not be actually possible. Remember, these are 3D renders, not actual minis, which means you can have them floating or do all sorts of whatever you want. That doesn't mean the actual end mini will look like that. So they might have to change that pose a little bit. I'm not sure what's going on there. But otherwise, they seem pretty okay when it comes to, you know, how they're designed. Definitely kind of interesting there. But that is coming out May 11th, by the way. So soon-ish. Next up, we have Tanares. I want to explain this. So they're talking about their favorite reviewer, King of Average. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe they don't know very many reviewers. I don't know. So they said he once called Arena the Contest campaign the best he'd ever played. Let me tell you why. And they actually got it fairly right here. So it's one of the main reasons why is the integration between the story and what is developed on the board. Yes, exactly. So so often we have these narrative games, right? We have Tainted Grail, we have Aetherfields, and we have Oathsworn, and we have Madara, and we have all these other games that Sengokushin, it doesn't matter. Like, we have all these games, though Sengokushin looks like it might integrate a little bit more too. We'll see. That are story driven, but really it's all the same freaking structure. And I'm not saying it's bad necessarily. Storm Thunder, same thing. I'm not saying it's bad. It's just nobody's innovating in that field. It's read some story and then I play a board game that involves that story, but doesn't really progress it, except it's like, you chose to kill him, well, now play out the death. Now go kill him. Or whatever it might be, right? But you're not really experiencing the story in the board game. They're separate things, right? It's read, play, read, play, read, play. So Primordial, it's all of them. It's how they work, right? That's what they are. It's almost two different things that are almost wholly separate. Sometimes there's a little bit of crossover. What I liked about Arena is that they had a lot of actual story in the gameplay. So it was read, play the game, plus read a little bit because you saved some people or whatever and interacted with it and did different things. It wasn't just like the guard stops you at the guard post. Do you choose to kill them? If so, flip to this page and it has a board set up and you go kill them. And then you read what happened afterwards, right? It wasn't quite that structured. And it looks like Tanares are doubling down on it. It was one of my feedback. And I think they are. They have NPCs you can talk to. So you're actually reading stuff and talking and making decisions in the game. It's more seamless. And that's what I want. That's what I like to see, that kind of change where it's not just the standardized read a page, play a level, read a page, play a level. I love that. So I think that's super cool. I just want to kind of explain that and call that out. That's definitely what I'm looking for there. This shows some art and, mini improvements and whatever other junk, but wanted to talk about that. Okay, let's look at some minis. This is leading up to something very important. So stay with me for a second. I really want to talk about this like a lot. Because I think it's a big deal that you can take with you to any campaign. And this is both for people running campaigns and for people that are looking at campaigns like me. Okay. So first of all, we'll look at some minis. These are super cool. Obviously, these look like resin masters based off the color. What a master is, and I'll show you some more here in a moment actually. But is essentially it's how they make the mold. And so they print a very fancy version of a mini in resin, and then they use that as the master that then all the negatives are made out of, right? So that's the imprint of the mold that they then use. And it can be in different pieces. It can be the same thing. It doesn't matter. This one just broke, but whatever. And it's good to see, like, okay, here's how it'll kind of look like, but obviously not quite as good. These look great, by the way. I love them. I think they look awesome. So that's cool. Let's look at some Time of Legends, Joan of Arc 1.5. Again, look at this. We have some resin masters. Same kind of deal here. This is obviously slightly better than you'll get, because you won't get resin. You'll get, PVC, maybe some ABS mixed into the PVC. The rat swarm there is awesome, by the way. PVC is more flexible, more durable, but because it's flexible, it's softer, which means the details are not as crisp. ABS is a little bit stronger, a little bit more supportive. If you see plastic that turns white when you bend it, that's typically ABS. It's often shinier. They can have it separate or separate pieces of ABS, or what is often the case these days is they actually mix some ABS into the PVC and then print it all on that. So all of it's a kind of a mix between the two. So it's a little bit still durable, a little bit still strong. Now let's go to Hell, the last saga, right? And we've seen some amazing minis, amazing art, by the way. Always like, this is freaking cool. And then they're talking about how, hey, this was the mini that we showed you for food. It's like right as it's dead, but also we use it for like herds of them that are running around, and it's weird that a herds of them running around with arrows in them. So like we changed it, so we made it into a doe, and they show this. And obviously, right? Warning, it's a work in progress, right? That's fine, right? Which is why, again, there's like no texture. That brings me to, well, I guess I'll start saying this now. So, Kickstarter has developers sharing stuff earlier than they ever would otherwise. There is no reason Fantasy Flight Games or any other retail company would ever share their minis this early. This is only ever even shown outside of them because of Kickstarter. And so there's an inclination for them to share as much as possible. And I've yelled at Leo for talking too much, and he knows he does. Like, he'll just say stuff that, and it's just, he's being authentic, right? Or he'll want to share stuff, and it's like, maybe you shouldn't share that quite yet, or maybe you shouldn't show that. And he's doing a lot better. And that's just, and Mythic Games in general. Like, they always have these vlogs, and they're always sharing stuff. They're like, look, we changed this, and we want to let you know right away. But they probably honestly, they probably shouldn't have. And it's not that this is bad. I mean, this is kind of funny, but you get what I'm saying? It's the impression to the customer who doesn't understand the development process, doesn't understand necessarily does work in progress mean the texture isn't added? Does work in progress mean the pose isn't filed? What does work in progress even mean here, right? Like, if they're at that, if you're talking to an ignorant audience in the intricacies of game development in general, you kind of have to be careful about showing stuff that's in development, because we don't know necessarily how that works, right? So, and I just thought that was funny. So, I mean, yeah, I hope they just take the arrow out and fix the neck a little bit, and obviously tilt them back and maybe stand on them all four. But otherwise, I think he's probably pretty good. That's what they should do instead of the whole doe thing. But I get what they were going for there. It's just not quite as cool, obviously. Let's go ahead to this Eldfall campaign, which, by the way, I've been printing some of the minis out. I got some of the minis. I'll show you some of the minis. I have the rule book, some tokens. We'll be playing the game. I'll let you guys know about it. And then this guy here talks about this Datris guy. Not to call out anybody, but whatever. He's commenting publicly. It's like, hey, so this is like Infinity, right? Like, there's a reaction action system that is borderline pretty much just cut and paste for that part of the game, right? That's what they're saying here. And I go back to sharing stuff in an early state, right? So they have their website now, they have the beta rules. The only reason to publish beta rules is, again, because you're running a Kickstarter, you're asking for money early, you're doing all this kind of stuff, right? And you're talking to an audience that may not understand how things are developed. So I shared my last Skillshare sponsored video. I actually shared some stuff I was watching about game development. They have some classes there on Skillshare, and this is not a sponsored video or anything like that, but it was just what I was watching. What I shared last time just happened to be. Again, it relates. That are from people who have run multiple Kickstarters and developed and produced and made multiple games on how they do it. And one of the guys was talking about how he just takes, like, if he wants to do a skirmish game, you take Stratego, and that's your basis, and then you modify it, right? So it's kind of like the a square to hex base in Judgement, right? Where it's like, you take maybe you like Stratego, but it's like, you know what, I would like more variable movement. Let's go and make those hexes now instead of, squares. And then, well, it'd be cool if there was some different terrain. So let's add terrain in there. You know what, it'd be cool if there were more units, different kinds of units. So let's go ahead and add more units there. And you know what, the board is really small. I'd really like it if it was a bigger area so I could have more people, more movement-based stuff, and more positioning. So then you add more spaces. And now you end up with something that's very different from Stratego, but you started with Stratego, right? Which really is just kind of like chess, right? Which is really just kind of like checkers, which is really just kind of like, like it goes back and back and back, right? If I was to design a car, I'm not going to invent a wheel. I'll just take 4 wheels, generally spaced how all cars are, and then I'll change maybe, but I like them a little bit thicker, and maybe the wheelbase is a little bit farther apart. I like longer, I don't know, whatever. Or maybe instead of the engine in the front, I'll actually put it in the back. What a concept. That's a cool, unique thing. Let's go do that. And that's a lot of what game development is like, we have multiple deck builders. We have multiple, can you imagine if, people got upset because you tap a card to, say it activated, like in Magic the Gathering, which I doubt was the first one to do that, or that you have a resource system, whether it's power in Pokemon or mana in Magic the Gathering, or it just seems so odd to me that people are looking at something that's really early. And it's like, well, if you have kind of the same system, but you're doing some different things, well, then you start with that, and then you change, and you modify, and you develop. And that's fine until you share it, right? Until it comes out to everybody who just might be reading it and be like, oh, well, I've never developed a game or really anything like this before, and I'm just looking at it. It's a weird conundrum. And I guess I'll just say, when you're looking at stuff early, realize that before it's final, it's ugly, right? Right before you finish a Rubik's Cube, it looks jacked up, right? Like if you're just a few turns away, it all looks all messed up, and then it's boom, done, right? It's what you can do if you want to look like you do it real quick. You do most of the work, and then it looks pretty done, and then you do it a little bit more, and it looks jacked up then, but you're just a few moves away, right? So you can pick it up and do it real quick and impress people. Same kind of thing. I'm a software developer, same kind of stuff. If you were to look at the intricacies of my code, and again, you don't reinvent the wheel. You start out, oh, this code works. I'm going to do this. I'm going to modify it and change it and do all this. And now it's this beautiful new program. And you see the beautiful new program, you're like, wow, that's great. But you don't know how that was developed. You don't know the iterations. You didn't know that at first it was this or then it was that. And Kickstarter can produce a lot of that ugliness, a lot of that oddity, a lot of that weirdness that maybe non-creative people aren't used to. And so just FYI, that's in general. That's not just for Eldfall. That's not just for Hell the Last Saga. That's not just for Mythic Games. That's for your entire Kickstarter career, whether you're making Kickstarter or whether you're looking at it as a backer. Be aware about what you share early and be aware about what you look at early. There can be some jank, there can be some weirdness, there can be some oddity, and you just kind of have to be mindful of the process, right? And all the work in progress and draft and beta keywords mean something. So really wanted to put that out there as a general blanket statement. I thought about putting this early on in the video, but I still wanted to focus on the really Kickstarter part of it. But that's an important thing, and I hope that helps you guys out. At least be mindful of it or be aware of it or reminded of it if you already knew. Okay, moving on. Oh, by the way, that launches May 18th. All right, guys, that's it. That's my update. I hope you enjoyed it. I liked talking to you. I always like talking to you guys. You know that. Let me know what you think in the comments below, especially about what I said about the early nature of sharing information on Kickstarter. Is that a good thing? Is it a bad thing? It can be bad. I think it can be good. I think it can probably both, but there's examples of both, I suppose, too. It's a wonderful thing that you can be involved in it. It's a wonderful thing that you can cause change. It's a wonderful thing that you can just share in the how you create and this awesome product early, and it's also frightening and bad and scary and ugly and messy, and I don't know, I love it. I love the constant tug of war between all of it. But I don't know, let me know what you guys think below. I will have a review out soon for Judgement. Be on the lookout for that. And then of course there are plenty more videos off Street Fighter up here soon. A lot more reviews. I'm going to keep on trucking. You guys have a great rest of your week. Have a good weekend. Talk to you guys again real soon.